Welcome to the presentation on accelerating the restoration of Lake Elkhorn and Elkhorn streams with stormwater BMP enhancements. My name is Richard Klein. I'm President of Community and Environmental Defense Services, or CEDS. I help folks throughout the U.S. preserve aquatic resources and their neighborhoods from development impacts. I'm assisting protect our streams with their efforts to enhance Lake Elkhorn and the 7 miles of tributary streams. In this report, Lake Elkhorn was listed as over-enriched with nutrients. Because of this eutrophic condition, lake waters are murkier, support fewer fish, and are less suited for recreation than most of us would like. The 7 miles of lake tributary streams are in poor condition, as shown in the map on the right. These waters support far fewer fish and other creatures when compared to healthier streams. This means Elkhorn streams may not be as child safe and friendly as we would like. The map on the left shows that most of the 3.9 square mile Lake Elkhorn watershed is developed. Only 19% is in forest. The two graphs on the right show that the quantity of nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, from our lawns, rooftops, streets, and other impervious surfaces is 6 to 20 times higher than forest. It's the large volume of nutrients coming in from these developed lands that's made Lake Elkhorn eutrophic. With regard to streams, impervious surfaces prevent rain from soaking into the earth. As the percent of a watershed covered with buildings, streets, parking lots, and other impervious surfaces increase, stream health declines. Presently, the Lake Elkhorn watershed is 28% impervious. As shown in the graph on the right, this degree of imperviousness accounts for why Lake Elkhorn streams are in poor health. In addition to imperviousness, the percent of a watershed in forest plays a strong role in determining stream health. Only 19% of the Lake Elkhorn watershed is in forest. A minimum of 40% forest cover is needed for a good to fair quality stream. This is also why the 7 miles of tributary streams are in poor health. Replacing watershed forests with homes on quarter-acre lots can increase the frequency and severity of flooding by 100-fold. This tremendous increase in flooding can scour and erode a stream channel to a width 2 to 8 times greater than before development. The water carried by a stream between storms originates as infiltration into watershed soils, which travels through the earth to enter the channel as seepage through banks or flow from nearby springs. Covering watershed soils with impervious surfaces prevents infiltration. As a result, streams which flowed year-round before development may go dry for much of the summer. Stormwater Best Management Practices, or BMPs, are intended to accomplish three goals to reverse the effects of watershed development. First, trap pollutants. Second, reduce flooding and channel erosion. And third, maintain stream flow through infiltration. Infiltration BMPs are the best for trapping pollutants and maintaining stream flow. Ponds are best at reducing flooding and channel erosion, though wet ponds are better than dry or extended detention ponds. Oil grit separators and related BMPs are not very good at any of these goals. More on each of these in a bit. On the left are the two graphs you saw earlier. These graphs show that nutrient loads from lawn and impervious areas are 6 to 20 times greater when compared to forest. The graph on the right provides a comparison of the nutrient trapping effectiveness of 6 types of BMPs. Of these 6 types, infiltration and bioretention BMPs are the most effective. These BMPs can prevent up to 85% of nutrients and other runoff pollutants from entering a lake or stream. Ponds are moderately effective in trapping pollutants. Ponds are better at reducing flooding and channel erosion. As shown in the graph on the right, flood flows can double or triple after development. Ponds store the increased runoff from development, then release it gradually. This reduces downstream flooding and channel erosion. Once runoff passes through an infiltration BMP, such as bioretention, the filtered, much cleaner runoff soaks into underlying soils. This helps maintain dry weather stream flows. While ponds and infiltration BMPs have their strengths and weaknesses, both are essential to restoring Lake Elkhorn and watershed streams. According to MDE Stormwater Print, there are 125 existing BMPs treating runoff from up to 55% of all lawns, streets, rooftops, and other impervious areas in the Lake Elkhorn watershed. This table lists the number of BMPs by type present in the Lake Elkhorn watershed. The other BMPs are mostly oil grit separators, which provide little lake and stream protection. Dry and extended detention basins also provide minimal lake and stream protection, but they can be enhanced considerably. Wet ponds are moderately effective at trapping pollutants, but are much better at reducing flooding and channel erosion. Bioretention facilities and all infiltration measures are among the most effective lake and stream protection BMPs. Infiltration trenches could have a high pollutant removal and dry weather stream flow benefits, but they're rather difficult to assess. Infiltration basins could be among the most effective lake and stream protection BMPs, doing it all. Dry wells could have high pollutant removal and dry weather stream flow benefits, but are also rather difficult to assess. The Howard County Stormwater Management Division inspects all BMPs at least once every 3 years. The county maintains the 15% of Elkhorn Watershed BMPs that are publicly owned. The other 85% are maintained by private owners. Unfortunately, funds for enhancing the publicly owned BMPs are limited. On January 15th and 16th of this year, 21 of the most effective BMPs were visited. The BMPs selected for this initial survey were infiltration measures, which again are the most effective BMPs. The 21 BMPs visited are shown in the area on the left and listed in the table on the right. The procedures used in the 2016 Greater Baltimore Stormwater BMP survey were employed to assess the 21 facilities. A form like that pictured here was completed for each BMP. Also, photos of each BMP were taken. So here's the results of the initial survey. Enhancement opportunities were noted at a third to half of the BMPs. All of the BMPs were viewed from areas open to the public. BMPs with possibly significant issues were referred to Howard County. There are 2 infiltration basins in the Lake Elkhorn watershed. They serve the Gables and Snowden River Center. The location of each can be seen in the aerial. The year 2000 Maryland Stormwater Design Manual required that all new BMPs treat the first inch of runoff from proposed impervious surfaces. This first inch accounts for 90% of all the runoff from an impervious surface in a typical year. The first inch of runoff must be stored below the first point where it could flow from a BMP. With infiltration BMPs, the first inch must soak into soils underlying the storage area within 48 hours. Both of the existing watershed infiltration basins were built before 2000, so neither was designed to store the first inch of runoff, which seriously curtails their lake and stream protection benefits. The Gables spillway opening is on the floor of the basin, so most runoff may flow out before it can infiltrate into the soils. The Snowden River Center spillway inlet is also on the floor of the basin, so again, most runoff may flow out before it can infiltrate into the soil. As a result, both infiltration basins may provide little lake and stream protection. Here's one possible option for enhancing the benefits of the Gables Basin. A drain, like the blue-green one pictured here or some other type could be affixed to the opening to create the 7.6 inches of depth needed to store the first inch of runoff until it can infiltrate into underlying soils. Infiltration basins provide not only pollutant removal and dry weather stream flow benefits, they can also reduce flooding and channel erosion, so this one BMP may do it all. However, enhancement measures must not preclude the basin from meeting flood and channel protection requirements. And here's a possible option for enhancing the benefits of the Snowden River Center infiltration basin. The inlet could be raised above the floor of the basin and/or the floor of the basin might be lowered to get close to the 29 inches of first inch storage volume depth. Again, this enhancement must not preclude the basin from meeting flood and channel protection requirements. Opportunities were noted at these 4 bioretention facilities to enhance lake and stream protection. At this point, it might help a bit to say more about how bioretention works. There's supposed to be a 2 to 3 inch layer of wood mulch on the surface. The mulch enhances pollutant removal and reduces surface clogging. The first inch of runoff must be stored below the point where it could first exit. This usually requires 6 to 12 inches of storage depth. Both of these bioretention facilities are supposed to have 12 inches of depth to store the first inch of runoff. The BMP next to Caddoba has 0 storage depth. The first watch BMP only has 4 inches, not the required 12 inches of storage depth. It also lacks wood mulch. Restoring the required 12 inches of storage and remulching would greatly enhance the lake and stream protection benefits of both BMPs. Both of these bioretention facilities lack the mulch layer essential to maximum pollutant removal and long-term performance. A wet pond has moderate pollutant removal effectiveness. Wet ponds retain a permanent pool of water where the pollutants are trapped. The trapped pollutants must eventually be removed along with accumulated sediments. Wet ponds are effective at flood control and channel erosion protection. However, little water seeps into underlying soils, so wet ponds don't do much to maintain dry weather stream flow. It's possible that a number of the 41 dry extended detention ponds in the Elkhorn Watershed could be converted to shallow wet ponds. This could be done by affixing the blue-green drain that you see in the upper left of the photo to the opening at the base of the spillway, creating a wet storage area. If successful, this could quadruple the lake and stream benefits these BMP provides. However, the conversion must not compromise the flood control or channel protection benefits of these ponds. Here's one of what's likely a number of opportunities to enhance existing BMPs to treat more impervious surface runoff. The cattails you see growing here may indicate that runoff no longer infiltrates into soils underlying this bioretention BMP. Frequently, this issue can be resolved by excavating clogged soils down to underlying permeable soils, then rebuilding the BMP. This is the same BMP as shown in the previous slide. This BMP was designed to treat runoff from the 0.41 acre rooftop area outlined in red. Within the green line is another acre of roof and parking lot that could be diverted at the storm drain inlet. Runoff would then be diverted into a grass channel that follows the green arrow. If successful, this would direct runoff to a restored bioretention BMP that has been enlarged to treat the added runoff. Here's an example of a possible opportunity to treat more Elkhorn Watershed impervious area. There are 3 bioretention BMPs treating the 4 acres of rooftop and parking lot at Phelps Luck Elementary. Only one BMP exists at Lake Elkhorn Middle School. The middle school BMP treats just 5% of the 8 impervious acres. If soils and other factors are suitable, Several more BMPs could be installed to capture a greater share of Lake Elkhorn Middle School impervious surface runoff. As shown in this graph, achieving a fair to good quality streams requires that forests cover 40% of a watershed. The Lake Elkhorn watershed forest covers just 19%. Getting to 40% requires another 430 acres of watershed forest. The red line in the aerial on the right encompasses 5.7 acres of privately owned grass, a portion of which is designated open space. This open space might be planted in trees. If a casual survey noted this 5.7 acre opportunity, how many others might be found with a thorough watershed-wide search? So, a limited survey of just a small portion of the Lake Elkhorn watershed identified many opportunities to enhance lake and stream quality. A more thorough survey would no doubt reveal many more opportunities, perhaps even enough to restore the lake and streams to a higher level of quality. Given the tremendous potential benefits indicated by this initial survey, perhaps in-stream restoration projects should be postponed until four things happen. A more thorough survey is conducted, a plan is in place to maximize the benefits of existing BMPs. The plan also outlines how to expand existing BMPs to treat more impervious area runoff and how we can increase watershed forest cover. Once these enhancements have been completed, it's far more likely that the in-stream restoration project would contribute to improved stream health. At the January 12th Columbia Association board meeting, a question was asked about how successful enhancing stormwater BMPs might be in restoring a degraded lake or stream. Well, this 2022 study on the left documents that with highly effective stormwater BMPs spread throughout a watershed, stream health can be improved considerably. Howard County, the Columbia Association, and others have enjoyed considerable success in convincing watershed residents to add small on-lot BMPs like those pictured here. I believe many more of the 16,000 people living in the 6,300 Lake Elkhorn watershed homes would like to actively support restoration efforts. This belief is based on many successful efforts I've witnessed in Maryland and elsewhere. For example, the Corsica River Conservancy succeeded in winning the support of a fourth of all watershed homeowners. These homeowners installed rain gardens or conservation landscapes in their yards. This effort resulted in the installation of an incredible number of BMPs, 1,500. To identify those in the community most likely to become involved, rapid neighborhood assessments like that described in this biohabitats report have been successful in some communities. Both the Watershed Stewards Academy and the Office of Community Sustainability have extensive experience working with residents to enhance aquatic resource health. In the past decade, many new approaches have emerged for engaging watershed residents in restoration efforts. Adopt a BMP is one of the approaches that might be tried in the Elkhorn watershed. Behavioral research shows that if you convince someone to do something easy, they are more likely to take on more challenging tasks. Perhaps we could help watershed residents appreciate the benefits of ponds and infiltration measures by recruiting volunteers to keep an eye on BMPs in their own neighborhood. Since the county can only inspect BMPs once every 3 years, adopt a BMP might provide an opportunity to catch problems that emerge between 3-year inspections, notify the county that an issue may have arisen, and get failing BMPs back into good working order more quickly. Most of the 6,300 Elkhorn watershed homes are just a 5-minute walk from a stream. Our children should be able to fully enjoy these waters, and us adults too. While considerable progress has been made, our streams are still not as child safe and friendly as they could be. We found that once watershed residents are made aware of this reality, their willingness to support restoration increases considerably. If they then learned restoration has been lagging due to low public participation, great strides in lake and stream improvement can follow. Thank you for making the time for this presentation. This PowerPoint and the documents that were referenced during the PowerPoint have been posted to the address you see here. Thanks once again.